and today we'll be talking about the artificial intelligence. So we're gonna go over the introduction, the historical timeline, how can this affect society and a person, um, the pros, the cons, and my personal opinion. So at first, what's artificial intelligence or AI is the theory and development of a computer system that mimics the human intelligence, which can recognize the speed, making decisions, and identify patterns and more things. So now on the timeline, we have the foundations, which is just creating a simple model of neutral networks using logic gadgets, which was for the 1950s, and then we jumped to the birth of the AI, which was around the 50s. So, and there they created the term artificial intelligence. And there was Dartmouth Conference. Then we jumped to the early hopes and developments of the AI, which was in the 70s. Um, which it was just the experts forming the system and developing the system, and the program was called ELISA, which is it was a simulate therapist, and they had another one that it's called SHRDLU, which understands simple language and blocks world. Then we jump to the first AI winter, which the computers were slow, the data was scarce, and the lack of progress and over proposing was there. So that's why it's called the first. It was like the first stop, which it was between the 1970s and the 1980s. And then we jump to the 1980s. I know the 90s, which was the second winter art. Um, which it was the same thing. They had difficulties developing the program, and they have some hiccups here and there trying to make progress. And then we jumped to the early 2000s, which it was the data and the computer era, which internet was better. It wasn't. They have massive data, so it was deep learning. It was the concept called deep learning that it was a brief network that helped the people. And then we jump to the deep learning resolution, which introduced a GAN, which was a generic advanced network, and Google released transform architecture. Then we jump to the foundation models and generate AI, which we have the first AI, which was by Google, which was called BERT, and it was an NLP. Then we had OpenAI on the 2020s, which is ChatGPT. And after that, we have a massive increase on our AI functions. We now have ChatGPT 4, Cloud, Gemini's, and Anthropic, open source AI, and more stuff. Now we're coming to the current era, which is 2024 to 2025. Bless you. Which is where we are now. AI is a big thing here, especially for students, and it's a really good source to look for. Now we go, how can this affect? We're going to personal service. This is something that it affects people because the personal service, which is really useful because it provides recommendations, a smart assistant, and health monitoring. But we also have the job displacement. The automation may replace some human jobs, specifically rural and manufactured labors and fields. Then we have on the education, which it's really helpful for students because it's adapt learning system that can offer customized education patterns for students, improving engagement outcomes. And this can also affect people for the dependence of the technology. People stop using critical thinking skills, and it's making making skills over time. So we're just depending on internet or like things like that. So we have here two personal, how it can affect people and how can it help, and we have two and four, then how it's affecting the society. So now we're gonna jump into the pros, which education is a big one because it's personalized learning, homework assistant, student support, and tutoring, and is really accessible for individuals. También we have research. It helps you find relatable sources, summarizing information, organizing research notes, and generating research questions, which I personally do use a lot for some of my projects for here sociology. But we're gonna go back into that later. As well, it's really convenient for houses since we have smart recommendations, health monitoring, customer support, automation, which a lot of homes now have the smart TVs and the smart lights and all that stuff, which is really helpful for some people. It's really convenient for people. Now we're jumping into the cons. The unemployment. Unemployment is a big thing now with how mass manufacturing is doing, especially in the fields and on construction. We can have a good example is right now how they built the new Starbucks in Boca Chica, which it was literally a 3D printer doing all the work. Critical thinking, the over reliance on AI reduces mental effort, and as well encourage um, encourages passive learning, which students are not putting the effort anymore because they're just relying on ChatGPT and AI to do their homework. We have the privacy risk. The data collection is a big thing, especially if you do put attention on the terms and conditions of your AI or on any place. Most of the times, it tells you that it's not gonna protect your privacy, or it doesn't tell you nothing. They sell your data, and um, artificial intelligence, really the only thing that it does is it's exploring you, or like it's learning from humans to be a more humanized thing. So now, in my personal opinion, after we jump to the last part of the presentation, in my personal opinion, AI is a really good source for students. I personally use it a lot when I'm doing schoolwork, when I'm trying to study. I use it a lot since the information that's really summarized, and if I have more questions, I can just ask ChatGPT for more information or to go deeper into a more resourceful material, as well as I use it a lot too whenever I don't have places to go. um I don't have places to go, or I don't know where to go. I personally ask Chad a lot of things like, oh, like good places to eat near Brownsville, or things to do near Brownsville, things like that. So it's a really good resource on that aspect. But as well, I think it's really sad that a lot of students use it like for cheating on tests, and we depend a lot on AI or on technology now. So if you give a student a book or like to do their homework without any type of internet, they're gonna have a hard time doing it since we're really not used to doing it this anymore. Or as well, like taking notes. Um, I personally don't even take notes on paper anymore. Most of the time, I just record the lecture and just do my notes with AI, which they're more effective than if I did it myself. But I know like if I do notes by myself, it's gonna stick with me more. So that's my personal opinion, and thank you so much for seeing my presentation. I hope you have a great day. Here are my sources, by the way. Bye.